This is the Freedom Fighters Podcast, keeping a watchful eye on the news that matters.
Welcome, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. This is Chuck and Joe and the Freedom Fighters Podcast. I'd like to get a couple things out of the way at the beginning here. If you would, it would really help us a lot and mean a lot. If you would hit the like button down below, it doesn't cost anything, it's free. Just push that for us to help us with our algorithms. And if you would also push or hit the subscribe button if you would like to join our podcast. Of course, the Freedom Fighters welcome everyone, Democrats, Republicans, anyone who wants to join. Okay, also, I want to let you know that all your comments are welcome at the comments center down below there, or you can email us, and that will be pinned in the description along with any and all links to our show today. Now that we have all that out of the way, beginning, I'd like to get started. I'm just going to fill you all in on things that are happening around the country, just short little snippets. Get started on what I've missed the last 2 weeks. I apologize. I had shingles, so I was out for a little bit. So we're back on and we're back going again. Thank you for all those who wrote in and said that you wanted us to feel better, and I appreciate it. I'm going to start off with an unfair map situation. Our great old state of Virginia is having a heck of a time right now. America, we need to pay attention to what's going on there because it could happen to us. In Virginia, they're trying to pass what's called unfair maps. And what this boils down to is that they are trying to redo their state as far as Democrats and Republicans. It boils down to gerrymandering. So right now it's split up, 5 Republicans representatives and pretty much 5 Democratic representatives from our great state of Virginia. What it will boil down to when they redistrict, and the redistricting is the problem, it will be like a 9-1. Democrats 9, Republicans 1. I don't care which side that you're on. It's obviously not fair and shouldn't be allowed in our, state of America, or in our great state of Virginia and in our country. This is America. Things are supposed to be fair. We're not a third world country. The voting on that is going to be happening soon. We've been asked by other podcasters to please pass this on to say no to the unfair maps. Again, no in Virginia to the unfair maps. Chuck will be putting that down below, like I said in the comments, afterwards where we would put the comments. That's called what, Chuck? Again, I'm sorry. I'm still learning. The link will all be listed down below that you can read through it, and you can see where we've gotten this and maybe read on it, especially if you're from the state of Virginia. That's pretty much all that we know. I'm sure that you guys can probably bring up more in the state of Virginia, but again, they're asking everyone to vote no to the unfair maps. Next, I'll be moving on. I'd like to tell everybody something I just never thought I would ever see or have to say. This is absolutely telling you where the Democrats have gone. And I don't mean off the cuckoo end. They've been off that nest for a while. They are now doing, 10 states have put in for it. It is called an exit tax. And folks, this is no fun, and this does not just apply to big business. As you know, a lot of the blue states are in trouble right now as far as money. They're hurting. They are having mass people pick up and move out of their states, going to red states because of the state deficits. And as you also know, state deficits are due to mass immigration into the blue states, not enough funding that can be taken by the Democrats. Now, I'm sorry, but in all these states that have so far been worked on and continued to being worked on by DOGE, which is headed by Tim Burchett and JD Vance, they're finding so much fraud just like out in California, which I'm going to get to in a minute. It's up to $261 million right now, just in the healthcare part of what they've looked at. And that would be just for like people who are choosing to die at home in hospice. How tacky is it that you would steal from hospice? It's just tacky. But where I was going with this, all the blue states are having no capital now because all of the businesses that are there, big and small, are picking up and moving because of all the what they're terming the wealth tax. And once the wealth tax hasn't worked, they're moving on to this new strategy, which is the exit tax. And so the exit tax is basically, if you exit our state, we're going to fine you 10%, which if you understand what that boils down to, I forgot to write that down and I apologize to everything, but what it boiled down to was billions and billions of dollars by the time they were finished. And you may say, well, that's no big deal for these rich agencies or like Mark Zuckerberg from California or whatever, but it is, folks. Do you happen to have just 20 billion laying around to just give in taxes so that you can move out to another state? I don't think anyone does, including the big businesses. It's really hurting the smaller businesses. 10% is a huge deficit for someone to move out, to go to another state just so that they can run their business the way it should be ran. And what's happening, again, I will repeat, money is being sent from the government or being taxed by the Democrats in that state. It's being taken in for programs and then not used for that. What it's being used for, well, who knows? Parties. It looks like a lot of strippers if you're looking at what's going on in California with who's running for your governor. A lot of bad things that they're doing out there. Joking a little bit here, folks, but it's a serious thing. Tax money is all going to be just thrown away for their luxuries. And that's really what it is. It's their luxuries and paying off agencies and, let's say, terrorist groups in other countries, which is just absolutely despicable. Not to mention they're wanting all of America, Americans, born and raised or brought in and vetted the proper way, Americans, to pay for these immigrants. And they're wondering why they don't have any money in their states. Well, why don't you stop giving all the immigrants free money, free housing, free food, free everything? We as Americans have lived here our whole lives and still struggle, some of us. And we live the American dream, but you can give them that money? No. I'm sorry, just for a trade of a vote. And that's what you Democrats want. And that's why it's not working. And all of America is now getting to see what's going on. Democrats can't hide this anymore, folks. It's out there, okay? And I'm not saying Republicans aren't perfect. I'm not saying there aren't other people that aren't either Republican or Democrat that aren't doing it. What I am saying is we're in trouble, folks, and the Democrats are leading the way, and they don't see anything, wrong with this. If you look at the states that are in trouble, they are blue. If you look at the states that are gerrymandering, they are blue. If you look at the states that have mass immigration, they are blue. If you look at the states where money's disappearing, where senators are stealing, they're in the blue states. This is why businesses are leaving. And what I find funny is, let's go back to Zuckerberg, okay? Facebook. This man is one of the little, guys, I call them, that hung around in the little, valley down there, so to speak. They're little rich guys, and they're all Democrats, right? Well, how's that working out for you, Zuckerberg, huh? How's that working out for you? It's not, is it? No, because you know why? Socialism doesn't work, folks. Communism doesn't work, folks. Look at New York. They have a communist dictator out there, I'm calling him right now, as the mayor. Look how that's going. See if you want communism, okay? I think it's time you young folks, different generations, start reading what communism and socialism are really about, because we are now experiencing it in the United States of America. And if we don't fight, we're not going to get our country back, folks. And then we're going to be a third world country. And you better look it in the face, because it's happening. It's happening right underneath us. You know, crime is the reason they say is what comes out of people being poor is crime. That's why they need more money to help those immigrants. Well, I say bullcrap. All right. They make a decision just like we make a decision every day to get a job and go to work. Okay. You make a living doing what's right, not what's wrong. You don't want to put into our system what you sure as hell want to take from our system. Get your butts out of here. We don't want you. And pretty soon those blue states are going to have no one to turn to. I know that a lot of these businesses will just turn in bankruptcies to those states and probably start over in a different state, because I know that's what I would do if I were forced to pick between moving and staying in a state that's going to tax me to death, to pay for people I don't want to pay for, people that don't deserve to be paid for. They just want our money, and they don't care about us Americans. The Democrats wants the votes of the immigrants. Are you all starting to understand now? I've been trying to explain this to you for over 2 years on this podcast. Why they were letting immigrants in. They want their votes. You stay loyal to us, we'll keep giving to you. The only problem is they can't keep giving to them. And now they're stuck because the immigrants are getting angry and they're disrupting all of America violently. Okay, well, you think it's just the businesses? No, let's get to the worst part of it, folks. If you live in those blue states, it's also the residents. The residents are now being taxed for things such as art. If you have any art that's worth anything, money, your net worth, if you've got anything in the bank, if you have anything from inheritance taxes or anything, they're upping all of those things. They want more and more and more. Furniture. You have any kind of furniture that's worth anything, they're taxing it. Incredible, huh? Yard things. You do your yard, they're taxing it. You have someone coming and mowing, they're taxing it. You have someone coming to do your pool, they're taxing it. How is this even legal? Well, it's not, but they're putting it through anyway. Virginia, you better come through for yourselves, and you better be listening out there too on this unfair maps, because that gerrymandering's coming to you and those Democrats are right in your back door. All right. I don't know about y'all, but I don't feel like funding any illegals. I'm from Indiana and we're Hoosiers. We don't fund people. We work here. We work hard. We want to get our things done. And I'm not saying we don't have some poor, but most of those poor are poor because of either bad decisions, drug related, or mental health, which Indiana is leading the way in fixing, which I'm proud to say. Do we still have problems? Yeah, we do. And excuse me if I keep kind of blowing my nose here backwards. I'm so sorry. I'm not feeling the best. Okay. Another thing that I'm really concerned with, folks, if we're moving on, kind of tying this all in together, there's 30 states that don't want their voting registrations looked at by the people that are going in and trying to make sure that all our voting machines, our mail-in ballots, whatever we're doing for the midterms and for the next elections are done as correctly and as fairly as we can. Now, why on earth would you not want your state checked out? These people are vetted by the government, okay? They've signed documents that your information goes nowhere. They have to. And they have some of the highest clearance in all of the United States to do these sort of jobs. Other than that, I can really think of no reason. And to me, that's no reason anyway, because America's greatest accomplishment and the thing that we need to hold on to and guard the most, other than God, is voting. People died so that we could vote. People died so that we could have a free democracy. People died so that we could live and one day have better than they did. representation. Sad to say, those 30 states better get their eyes opened. Better open them, and I don't even care if Indiana is on there, which I've yet to read down that because, quite honestly, I've got enough problems here in my own state that I'm fighting against, and I just don't need to add something else into this book because my husband already tells me, Chuck, over there, that things are getting a little full again. I could spend hours on here talking when I'm only supposed to spend 15 to 20 minutes. He gets a little aggravated. I get on my horse and I get riding, let me tell you. But I will check and to see who those 30 states are. But there are 30. I heard that from Doge this morning. And that was Doge themselves on their site. Also, appears that red states are pretty much doing great. Most of the red states are flourishing. People are coming in. Immigrants obviously aren't here. We don't have an increase in deaths, homicides, however you want to put it. I'm not saying it's just because of immigrants. I am saying that we have not had an increase. That tells us something. Because you realize when all this starts happening, when you gerrymander and then you get Democrats and you make a state go blue and then they want more government money and then more immigrants move in and more Americans move out and then you've got all this tying into the market, right? Everyone, it drags our market down, period. We cannot be a successful union if every part doesn't play its part. We might each be one state, but together we're a country. And together we form a union. But when you have several states that are taking from the other states, doing their due diligence, well, folks, it's just like any other place. You boot them to the curb. California, Washington, and Virginia, you guys are headed down a bad road. I hope you listen to some of the things that I've put in here because it's very true. Just to give you a little bit of an idea of what these taxes are like for Zuckerberg or, you know, the rich out there. They're looking at about a 5% tax as far as their businesses goes. But like I told you, it's $12 billion just with the 5% tax. And then by the end, because they have to sell their gains, they have to sell, you know, all this stuff that goes with it to even move. It ends up to being about $20 billion just to move one of his businesses. And that's just crazy talk. I don't know anybody that could do that. And I'm not taking up for Facebook or any other business. I am saying that's not the American dream. It's not the way America runs. And we need to get back to the way America operates, the correct way, the fair way. And it can let the little man in as well as the big man in to have the American dream. Dems that are ignoring the problem, stealing from the rich to give to the poor, well, that's all great in theory, isn't it? Except when you steal then from what's supposed to go to the poor, like out in California. Billions of dollars sent from the federal government to take care of the homeless and the poor. What did it do? It got put into the hands of rich men so that they could make their lives better. It got sent to groups overseas to fund terrorism, to fund wars, which, again, raises money. Wars are money. As an American, sometimes I just have to take a breath. It drives me nuts. But don't think just because you're not rich that it doesn't happen to you. Like I told you before, it's going right on down the line. And they're now going also after people who own homes. You're considered a wealthy part that they can tax too. So if you own a home, you're game for taxation. Everybody just pay attention to what you're voting for this year. Vote for the right things. Know who your senators are, who your congressmen are, and let's vote out the rhinos, especially in the Republican Party. I can speak for them. Let's get them gone. Gone. With the rhinos out, everyone. Know who you're voting for. Which leads me one thing I was going to say later, but it's perfect here. I'm from the great state of Indiana. I'm a Hoosier. We love basketball and football here. We love cornfields. We love to swim. We like nice days in the air, hugging each other, taking family walks, believing in God, doing the right things. That's the Hoosier state. But we have a couple really bad rhinos in our assembly. Okay, I need to tell you to get rid of Travis Holdman. He's out. We want Blake Fichter in. Vote Blake Fichter if you live in Indiana for Senate. Travis Holdman out. All right. I'm going to kind of give you just a little down here on something else I want to talk about just really quick because I am at 20 minutes and my husband's going to decapitate me over there. Chuck, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
He runs everything from the back. Soon he'll be up with us, folks, though. We're just a small podcast starting out when you're our age, pushing that 60 line. We're trying to understand everything. So all you older folks out there, please join us in also. Real quick, the IRGC, obviously, over in Iran is running the talks over there. I don't believe that there's going to be any kind of justice over there because they don't want it. They want a nuclear bomb, and President Trump won't take anything less than no nukes. That's been given. They are supposed to maybe resume talks in Islamabad this week, in the middle of the week, perhaps. If I were JD Vance, I wouldn't go over there after what happened. And I'm trying to blow up the motorcade last week. I just wouldn't do that. But JD's got more guts than I do, I'll tell you. What do you guys think we should do? Point down there, right down there, tell me, what should JD do? Should he go over there? What should President Trump do? They now have these little submarines, can't remember the name of them, but they have these little submarines that they're taking in that are made for shallow water, which we have none of. No one else in the world does. They used it particularly for the Strait, and they can lay bombs down there. They can just lay down there and wait, and they're laying bombs down there and doing other destructive things. So should we bomb these people? I don't see what other choice we have at this point. And I need to tell you what is happening with China with all this, which I will get into on my next podcast here, how China links to all this, so that everyone knows. I also want to say, Thune, Save the American Act is going for a vote in the Senate, buddy. Way to go, America. We made them take it to the floor. Now those senators are going to be forced to tell us what they think. And if they don't put Americans first, we need them out, folks. Pay attention. Pay attention on that day. The Save America Act has got to go through. We have got to push for Americans to show ID and voter registration when they go to vote. It's the only fair thing to do. It's our right as an American. It's one of the rights that we hold true and tight to our hearts. The last thing, really, really quick, is they have a new act out in California that needs to be stopped. It's called the Stop Nick Shirley Act. And what that boils down to, everyone, is that this act was introduced by a lady called Mia Bonta. And she is from California State Assembly. She represents the 18th district. And what it does is it restricts the online sharing of personal information of immigrant service providers. That means we cannot harass, intimidate, or incite violence to any immigrants. Folks, that does not say they cannot do it to us. Okay? We cannot do it to them, but they are allowed to do it to us. So, Miss Mia, I ask you, where's the legislation that protects Americans out there? Where's that at? That says no violence or intimidation or harassment can go on to ICE agents, to people who live there. Where's that? Again, folks, vote no to the Stop Nick Shirley Act. Absolutely ludicrous. Miss Mia, you need to be voted out. That's it for today. I would like to tell everyone thank you for stopping by, having this moment with us. And I ask you to come again at the end of the week. This is Chuck, Joe, and the Freedom Fighters saying, "Smile, America." We're smiling back.